Picture the Paris of today, a luminous capital of over 2 million, where the Eiffel Tower gleams against the night sky. Haussmann's wide boulevards pulse with traffic and cafes, and the Seine sparkles under 37 bridges. A symphony of lights reflecting off glass museums and Gothic Notre-Dame's restored facade. Tourists flock to the Louvre's pyramids. The city a beacon of art, fashion, and romance. Now, dissolve that elegance. Rewind to the year 1100 AD. That same Seine encircles a muddy, expanding town centered on the La de la Cité, where wooden bridges link to burgeoning banks, lined with timber houses and stone churches rising from the mire. No iron tower pierces the horizon. Instead, the nascent Notre Dame's foundations emerge amid construction chaos, a Romanesque cathedral foreshadowing Gothic ambition. In a city of perhaps 20,000 to 30,000 souls under Capetian kings. This is Paris awakening from isolation, a medieval hub where commerce stirs in swamps, scholars debate in abbeys, and feudal lords jockey for power. How did this insular settlement begin its ascent to European prominence? What grounded realities shaped life amid the mud? Join me as we reconstruct this pivotal Paris, layer by layer, visualizing a world where cathedrals symbolized renewal. As visuals morph from Paris's modern radial avenues to a medieval map of clustered islands and banks, observe how the city's urban layout in 1100 AD centered on the La de la Cité, a natural fortress in the Seine. This island, settled since Roman Lutetia, housed the royal palace and the cathedral, as detailed in archaeological reports. The layout expanded organically, with the right bank emerging as a commercial zone around Les Halles, and the left bank, hosting scholarly abbeys like Saint-Germain-des-Prés, founded in 558 AD and rebuilt after Viking raids. Streets were narrow, winding paths of compacted earth, often flooded by the Seine's rises, turning low areas into mud. 2 wooden bridges connected the island, the Grand Pont to the right bank and the Petit Pont to the left, both fortified with towers under Philip Augustus' later influence, but rooted in 11th century defenses. No comprehensive walls encircled the whole until 1190. Instead, the city's Roman walls provided core protection, with earthen dikes along banks. Planning lacked royal mandate initially. Growth was driven by Capetian kings, who encouraged markets, and ecclesiastical lords managing lands. Suburbs like the Bourg Saint-Germain extended southward for agriculture, with vineyards and fields supplying the center, as pollen analysis confirms, cereal cultivation. The rivers dictated expansion. The Seine facilitated trade but posed flood risks, leading to raised walkways. This layout differed starkly from today's. Then, it prioritized defensibility and river access, with churches as landmarks in a semi-rural mosaic, fostering a community bound by water and faith, seamlessly leading to the architecture that began to rise from the mud. Shift the visuals from Paris's steel and glass skyline to rough-hewn stone emerging from earth. Scaffolding clings to rising walls, timber frames support nascent arches. In 1100 AD, Paris's architecture transitioned from Carolingian wood to Romanesque stone, with early Gothic elements in churches using local materials. The Cathedral of Saint-Étienne, predecessor to Notre-Dame, was a Romanesque basilica rebuilt after 9th century fires, featuring a nave with rounded arches on stone piers, wooden roof, and small windows for fortification, as excavations beneath Notre-Dame reveal 11th century foundations of limestone blocks. Abbeys exemplified durability. Saint-Germain-des-Prés, restored under Abbot Morard, had a stone nave 60 meters long, transept, and apse, with radiating chapels. Walls of rubble masonry faced with ashlar. Secular buildings included the Royal Palace on the Cité, a fortified complex of stone halls and towers expanded by Louis VI, with battlements for defense. Homes varied: elite stone houses with courtyards, commoners' timber-framed structures on stone bases, roofs thatched or tiled in clay from the Bivry River. Building materials: local Lutetian limestone from quarries, gypsum for plaster, oak timber from forests, imported sandstone rare, used for details. Construction: lime mortar, wooden scaffolding for vaults. Sanitation: open ditches drained to Seine. This architecture, unlike today's preserved monuments, symbolized rebirth. Over 20 churches by 1100. These structures not only withstood floods, but defined social spaces. Populate the muddy paths with cloaks and carts. Growing, but modest compared to antiquity. Around 1100 AD, Paris's population is estimated at 20,000 to 30,000, a rise from 9th century lows post-Vikings, per demographic studies. Social classes under Capetians like Philippi: elite, nobility, 5 royal officials in palace compounds, clergy, abbots, bishops like Galen influential with lands, burgesses, burghers, 30-40, merchants, artisans in guilds, peasants, 50, serfs in suburbs, supplying food, women, convent roles or households, children apprenticed. Skeletons from Notre-Dame show average height 1.65 meter men, diets grain-based, class-dictated life, elites in stone, poor in wood. Unlike modern Paris's professionals, feudal ties bound, with Greek scholars adding intellect. Islands and banks stir, vendors cry, scholars debate. Daily life in 1100 AD centered on river and church. Dawn, market opens, breakfast bread. Occupations: boatmen ferried goods, bakers used communal ovens, women washed, wove, men built. Meals: stew, ale. Evenings: vespers, storytelling. Hazards: Seine floods, fires. Lifespan 40 years. Community: fairs at St. Denis, differed from modern, labor-intensive, pious. Markets: bustle, wool from Champagne. Trade via Seine to Rhône. Economy: artisanal, emerging. Banking: shifts, Capetian stability boosted. Unlike Paris's finance, economy riverine. Palace councils, king commands. Under Philippi, Capetian domain. Structure: feudal vassals, consuls emerging. Consequences: expansion. Cathedrals rise, masses held. Catholicism dominant, Notre-Dame site sacred. Abbots Suger innovated. Influence: education, charity. Families gather, Old French spoken. Norms: chivalry, piety. Bridges guarded, militias assemble. Defense: sit walls, river. Warfare: against Normans. Visuals blend, Paris grew. In 1100 AD, muddy Paris contrasted iconic today. Gothic Revolution 1163 Notre-Dame. Revolutions shaped developments. Haussmann 1853. Perspective: mud birthed magnificence, valuing history's foundations.